Thank you. I loved all of your elevator speeches. I wanted to clap for each one. I go, yay, that's great. I'm here today to talk about people who make the rules, break the rules, clarify the rules, and follow the rules. Because we want to see each other with better 2020 vision. This is one of my favorite cartoons. I'm returning these glasses I bought for my husband. He's still not seeing things my way. You might be able to use that in your counseling. And what this tells us is that we have a vision of how things should be. And when other people don't see it the way we see it, we think they're weird or strange or they're just coming out of left field or something, when in reality it may be us that's coming out of left field. And so what we want to do with assessments and what we need to do and what we intend to do with understanding the results of an assessment is to be able to understand who we are, what our strengths and what our limitations are, and then to respect the people around us, which plays in, of course, if you're on an executive team, it plays into the people that you collaborate with, it plays into people that are on your team, it plays into your employees. So those are the different issues that we'll be talking about in the few minutes that we have together here. So why do we study personalities or behaviors? It's to influence opinions. Wouldn't it be nice if you could influence the opinions of all of those people that sit in the room in a meeting with you and they're not listening to you? Wouldn't it be nice if you could change that around? We also do it to engage more intellectually and emotionally with people, as well as to form more effective teams. We also do it to improve relationships with colleagues, employees, and to relate to others better. So those are all the reasons why we want some self-knowledge and why we want to be able to understand our strengths and limitations as well as the others. And if you're familiar with 4-quadrant personalities, we basically have 4 quadrants that these are pretty standard. I don't know how many you've taken. How many have taken a whole bunch in the past to find out who you are? Of course. So if you've taken some in the past, you might be able to say, oh, I knew that, but I need to start implementing again. Or I need to start doing it again and taking the things that I know and being better about the way I treat people or react to people or influence people. And I have divided those into your handouts. You can see those on the handout that we have if you look on the back side of it, where it says the strengths and limitations or blind spots that you have. And basically we have people that are like the blue water. They are the ones that fill in everything all around you. They're the ones that check the list, check it twice, make sure there's enough food for everyone, enough plates. That's what the blue people do for you, or the blue water. And then you have those that are producers. Those that will check and say, we're going this way. Do you want to come with me? I saw a bumper sticker one time that said, there can only be one winner. Do you want to play? So that might fit Derek just a little bit, right? So that means don't get on the basketball court with him. Then you have the people that are like promoters. They're energetic, they're enthusiastic, they're social, they're expressive, they're fun-loving people. They take jobs like scuba diving instructor or ski instructor because they just don't like to be behind the computer. So if you accidentally hired one of those to be in your IT room or to be in your accounting room, they will not stay there because they have to go out and talk to people and feel the energy that comes from everyone throughout the day. So we're going to ask Karen if that's true because she had high yellow in her when she took the assessment. Is that true, Karen?
Totally.
And then we come to those people who are the peacekeepers, or the ones that, they're kind of moderate in their life, but they're steady, they're cooperative, and I call these people like oak trees. Because how do you move an oak tree? Absolutely. That's what red people will say, what the fires will say. And also, they're really good fishermen. The green people are the oak trees, and the red people will say, when I ask, how do you fish? They'll say, with what? Dynamite, yes. So you're all starting to see where you fall in the quadrants here with these different personalities. Now, the people who are planners and producers are task-based people. And tasks mean something to them, or task lists mean something to them. task list, if you have high blue in you, you love your task list. And if it's messy, you will rewrite it so that it looks nice. Anyone here? I see a few people laughing about that. Yeah, we got a couple there. If you're red, you have a task list, but it's utility. You know, you check things off, but you don't care how messy it gets. If you're high yellow, you say, what's a task list? And by the way, the high yellows are the ones that break the rules, right? They say, what are rules? Where you're reds, which ones are they? The ones that what? Make the rules. And the blues are the ones that do what? Clarify the rules. And the oak trees are the ones that follow the rules or do a lot of the implementation. So you have the task-based people, and then the ones at the bottom, the peacekeepers and the promoters, are the ones that are people-based. They're relationship-based people. So what happens is you have the blues and the greens, the blues and the reds, or the planners and the producers, that are like the lions and the tigers of the earth. And they're saying, I want this. And the people-based or the relationship-based people are saying, they're more like the birds and the butterflies, and they say, fine, you can have it. I'll go somewhere else. It doesn't matter to me. It's not that big a deal. And so they move on. Now, there are some things that you can notice about them when it comes to their verbal skills and how they interact with you, because wouldn't you like to know just when you meet someone what they are like? Well, these are some ways that you can tell, okay? I tell people who have high green or blue in them to never get in an argument with people that have high red or yellow. Do you know why? The high reds, notice I'm saying high here because that does make a difference. So most people are blends of these colors. But high means that the high red will slice you and dice you till there's nothing left. Because they have vision, they know where they're going, they will tell you what you should be doing as well. Then you have the high yellows that will flat out talk you till you know you don't have any breath left in you to respond back or any comebacks for them. Now then you have the people who have high blue in them. And the high blues are like playing tennis. How many like to play tennis in here? Okay, you know in tennis that you know where this is going, don't you? You bring the racket back. And then you hit the ball. And then you follow through if you're a good tennis player. Well, people who are high blue or good blues mean that they tell you what they're going to tell you, then they tell you, then they give you all this information, and they give you all the follow-up information, and they have reams and reams of paper for you to follow. Now, do you see why this causes confusion and why it causes problems to people? Because high reds, what do high reds want? Tell us. Just the facts. What else? Bullet points. Summary sheets. That's what they want. Oh, see, they're shaking their heads here. When they need all that backup information that the high blues have, they will come and get it. But they don't necessarily want it right then. So you see how the natural proponents that we have make us, yeah, we see some people standing back there. You were the bank president, right? That's right. Why don't they bring it like that? Because the blues want to be thorough. And by the way, when you look at some of the blind spots that you have on this sheet, one of the things that you have to understand about it is that the blues are very, very thorough in all they do, and they're perfectionistic, and they don't want to make a mistake. So if you're high red and you have this blue working for you, it would be nice if you come to the middle just a little bit and let them expound just a little bit, or at least give them information and say, next time we have a meeting, would you please bring a bullet sheet for me? You know, so take that tip and use it with them that way. Because people who have high blue in them and are perfectionistic don't mean to make mistakes. And when they make a mistake, they're devastated. So if a high red comes on tough and hard on them, then you're going to destroy the productivity for the whole day. So do you see how that starts to relate to understanding your employees and who's working for you and how you can flex your ability to work with them? What I like to teach people is that you need to come to the middle. meaning that if you have high blue in you, it's really nice if you're not quite so sensitive and that you can take a little bit of that criticism a little more, because reds don't mean to hurt your feelings. That's just the way they are. And reds, would you just back off just a little bit? Be just a little kinder when you're talking to some of the people around you. And in this way, we can come to the middle. Now, let's do a little test, and then we'll talk about some of the people that took the little assessments. Does that work for everybody? Okay, here's a test for you. Which personality group do you think the rabbit represents? They like groups. Who likes groups of all these? High yellows like the groups. And which one is this? They kind of change colors. You can hardly see them in the group. It's a what? Green, yes, the green individual. And you'll notice I forgot to tell you about the green verbal skills. That's because sometimes we overlook them, but these are the green verbal skills. You have to ask them. Greens are powerful, powerful people, just like the oak tree. And when you're in a meeting and you have some people that are green, typically a lot of engineers, a lot of those deep thinkers have high green in them. You'll be sitting in the room and you'll be wondering, and you'll all be talking and everything, and the high green will not say anything until you look at them and say, what do you think? And then they come out with this beautiful idea, because they're deep thinkers. They're just not as verbal as the rest of the quadrants. So that's one of the things you want to remember about the green. And they also fit in better with the other groups, or they're more tolerant of the high red. They're more tolerant of the high yellow. They're more tolerant of the high blue. Because remember, high yellows, some people will say, oh, they make me tired to be around them. They've got such high energy, I don't know what to do. And so they're more tolerant of that when they have high green in them. Now, what one is this? Which one? Red. Almost. People usually say that. But notice that each one of those squares are what? They're perfect. And notice the honey that feeds everything? That's high blue, because they want everything to be perfect. And I must tell you, life does not have to be perfect to be perfectly wonderful. So if you have high blue in you, and you're looking at this, because see, some of the blind spots of the high blue are to be a little moody, a little detached, a little unsure, a little pessimistic. If you have that depression that comes with high blue, then the best thing you can do, or what you can take out of this today, is to let it go. Because reds don't worry about it, yellows can laugh it off, greens, let it roll off their back, it doesn't matter, but the high blue will worry about it. So if you're high blue, let it go today. And what is that one? Yes, there's our red person. And by the way, we have to do this one. What is this one? What does this represent?
Yeah, hybrid.
It's a hybrid, it's schizophrenic. This represents your red-yellow. Because people who are red-yellow will typically be great leaders, because they have the charisma that's the natural yellow, and they have the red that's visionary and direction-oriented. So that's what this represents. And I knew a man that was high red-yellow, and he was running this company, and the one person that worked for him said, yeah, but the problem is we don't know which one's coming to work on which day. But and one thing I want to emphasize before my time is gone is that we need each one of these. You don't want a team that just has one or has one of the others, because they all have different perspectives, and you can see that you have different strengths. And even though we can laugh at the red individuals, we love them because they're great in emergencies. I was sitting on a plane in the exit rows, and the stewardess came over and said, now, it's your responsibility to get everybody off if there's an accident. And we're all going, yes. And she says, can you handle that? And this lady behind me said, yes, because we're bossy. And that's exactly what you want in an emergency. And reds are great at doing that. Okay, so I want to draw up plans for a city that can be built in a day. That's what he's saying to the engineer that's sitting at the board there. And this is the way the 4 personalities respond. I want you to draw up plans for a city that can be built in a day. What an idiot! So what's that? The color gives it away, right? I want you to draw up plans for a city that can be built in a day. Does he think the gods work here? So the yellow's laughing it off, right? I want you to draw up plans for a city that can be built in a day. That's your green personality, right? I want you to draw up plans for a city that can be built in a day. Oh, we'll need 500,000 tons of marble. So that means how many masons and lots of faucets? And so what is that? You see the blue individual coming out, don't you? Now, a couple of points about the descriptors and the strengths and blind spots. These are learning lessons, because when you look at here, you can see that sometimes when you're perfectionistic, you need that for your job, do you not? I was talking to, I think it was you, and you said when I had a CFO, I wanted high blue. Yeah, because they don't make mistakes. They make everything so they don't make mistakes. But when it gets too far, then people think you're getting a little bit analysis paralysis and stuff like that. And when you have the strong red, I said that you love strong reds, right? But when they become, so they're stomping on everyone and they're not listening to other people, then they become what we have here in abrasive and demanding and dictatorial. And of course, then you can look down the others and see how it flows back and forth. The other thing that happens here is you see that God didn't give gifts, the same gifts to everyone. He made us all very different. And I think that's pretty strong when you look at that. So this is just a learning thing for you, because the other thing it does for you is you can look at that and say, oh, now I see why people don't want me on their team. In fact, that happened to a person that was high red. This was a woman. She was high red in this. And after the class, she's sitting there and she goes, now I see why nobody wants me on the team. Because she could look and see at some of the blind spots. So once again, what it does is it helps you move to the middle. So if you have high blue and you're being perfectionistic and a little nitpicky about things, you can back off. You can say, oh, that doesn't work for this person that I'm working with. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. I just want to spend the last 2 minutes I have left, because I don't know what sound's going to come out of that. Talking about the people. Oh, okay. I had to laugh at Derek Spain, because when we walked in, he says, oh, yeah, that's me. So can you use 10 seconds and tell them what you do and why this is a great personality for you?
Yeah, I mean, executive.
Stand up so they can see you.
So the executive pastor, so lead, and also we got to make sure we're organized, that our whole team is doing everything they need to be, too.
Yeah, so he's the executive. He's the executor, and that's why he has high red and why it works well for him. Then you have Marcel Smith. Stand up and wave, Marcel, back there. Yeah. I was looking at what she does in real estate, and I said, well, you know, you're really well fit for that job, because you have high red that gives you the ability to close sales, to be direct with people, to tell them what they need. You have high blue that makes sure everything's ready for the mortgage company and that all the papers are in place. You have high yellow in here, because, see, she's more balanced. She's not off the charts like he is, okay? But she's more balanced, so she has the high yellow verbal skills that are there. And then she has some green, and I said, you know, the green, it makes you, or tries to make you just a little more patient when they're indecisive. But then she told me that her red does kick in, and she does tell them what to do. And Karen, she said, oh, yes, that's me. She's high yellow. So you can see how off the charts that is. And I told Christian that his is really good too, because when I debriefed this with him, he's high yellow, which gives him the ability to get out, because he was marking a lot of the things that were more gregarious, more loving to have a good time, and those things that are all yellow. But then he was marking things on the red like, or like the blue, like he could organize things, that's what he likes, or facts, and a task to organize, and that gives him the ability to get all his equipment and get out to do the taping. And he has the red in him because when he has a little bit of that red, it makes him be able to make the decisions. The thing that came out about Christian is that he, with all the choices he made on the assessment, he's non-competitive. So if you want to win, take Christian out on the court. And then the green in him, see the yellow and the green combined together make him a really, really nice person. So if you want someone that's easy to work with, if you want someone to work with Christian. Thank you very much for having me today. It's been a pleasure.